of 15 haya of 15 September 2021, tarehe ni 15 mwezi wa 9 mwaka 2021. Natumai kwamba uko salama, mamka vizuri na uko tayari kungangana na siku ama kutaka siku yako ya leo. This is Tackle Siasa Wednesday and it begins now. Kama kawaida Wednesday tunaweza kuangazia mambo ya siasa. We get over conversation around politics na always very heated conversation. Tuko na wageni wapya wawili. Tuko na KIMATHI MWITI ambaye ni wakili ndio running in for MCA pale Meru. Atatuambia ni agenda gani yako naye pale. And we also have SYLIVIA who is also running for women rep Nairobi. Anasema anataka kufukuza pasaris kazini. So we have SYLIVIA who is agenda advocate, and also she's running to represent women of Nairobi. And every time when you talk about gender, we only think about women. So, gender advocate going to run in for women Nairobi County. Na Muchendu pia tutamvuruta pale anasema ako Meru. Mambo ya sijui kazi na pesa ama ni pesa na kazi. Mambo ya CCK, they are running in for Meru. Na yesterday I talked to Muchendu MWITI. Akaniambia Meru ni CCK. Akaniambia hiyo kiti ya MCA ya by election inaenda kwa CCK. Tuko na mheshimiwa RUTH AMBOGO pia ambaye ni VIHIGA County Women Rep Aspirant. Sijui kama baada hapo nasikia alikanyagana na Akalanga. Anaitwa Akala nani? City Women Rep. Nasikia kidogo walianza kukanganyana kidogo. Sijui kama baada kwa kuarrest sijamwona ground. Recently sijamwona akitembea pale ground. Basi atatuambia kama alishuka ama alishukishwa. Alafu tuone inakuaje. Ambaye pipa ni member wa ANC, ambassador wa ANC party. Amoliama. This is Siasa Wednesday of 15 September 2021, and welcome as usual. I request that when you join in, please like. When you like, you get to know that you're watching us. And not like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a Tackle and begins now. Lakini kama kawaida, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi basi na kuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, glorify your name. Thank you for another opportunity to be alive. We thank you for this program as we have this discourse. May it edify the fabric of this country. As you start to be with us, when we finish, glory and honor shall come back to your name. For I pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Haya. Mwanga mtu wa UDA Mungai Polo. Tayari ashafika. Haya, Munga alita continue all the way from Convent United Kingdom. Asema morning team Tackle tuning in from Convent United Kingdom. Good to be part of this morning Siasa Wednesday edition. Karibu sana ndugu yangu Sholim Kibet Benachi, always waiting for this show. Viewer number 1 and number Billy. Munga alita continue is number 1. Felix Mwangale tuning in from County 039. Karibu sana. Caleb Tony, good morning team Tackle tuning in from Eldoret. Asante sana Mungai Polo wa UDA, wa Wilbur anasema good morning tuko on. Asante sana. Mbugua Kinyajo anasema good morning sir. Good morning to you. Mbugua Stephen Flemington Tomaga, good to see you my brother. Anasema logged in from Thika Show, tunaipiga sawa sawa huko. Karibu sana ndugu yangu, though umepotea sana. Dennis Kithinji tuned in. Let the show begin. He got to hear from leaders and my favorite KIMATHI MWITI Kanyamu. Ndio Kanyamu. Haya. David Bet tuned in Bitok, salimia Ambogo. Msalimia sana mheshimiwa Kipkoech Keep Eldoret Life Mr. Bitok. Emmanuel Serem, good morning Mr. Tackle. Good to see you my brother. Umepotea hii wiki sijakuwa na. Cycling Masai all the way from Narok. You've also disappeared for some time now. Anasema Bitok, good morning. Wadau tuned in from Narok, wishing Muchendu a happy belated birthday. Let's discuss the most curious demand. By the way, Muchendu alikuwa na birthday. Kumbe Muchendu anakuwa na birthday. Okay. Happy belated birthday. Sikuwa najua Muchendu anakuwa na birthday. Muchendu akiwa pale Meru. Happy birthday from the Tackle. Karibu sana. Kerich Sharon, good morning. Good morning to you Sharon. Good to see you. Dennis Kithinji naona maamsha Shadi Wanjwe, KIMATHI Moria, Mungai Polo, Tush and Rane likola sama. Let's share this various platforms to see wakili around. Asante sana. Keep sharing guys. Go Koiplo Mary. Good to see my brother all the way from Marakwet. And some morning tuned in from Marakwet. Mungai Polo asema Meru tumefunga na UDA. Muchendu amesema UDA mtajua malenge ni mboga. Pale Meru amesema wamekita mizizi, wanapiga kampeni hatari sana. Amesema hiyo kiti hata nyinyi mnakaa Nairobi. Kina MWITI nasikia tu mko Nairobi. Okay, mtajua nasikia CCK. Ndio wanaingia Meru. Nasikia CCK iko ground. Mtajua
hawajatuambia tuwakaribishe.
Tuwaonyeshe
maeneo.
Ruth Kosgei, good morning from Milimani Road. Good to see you. My sister all the way from Milimani Road. Dennis Kithinji Meru tuko UDA. And William Sameru is our president and KIMATHI MWITI my MCA NTIMA West, it's UDA. Hiya, David Kitur Dindi from Kapsabet. Nixon Roti, good to see you. My brother I'm alive from Kentucky. Good to see you my brother. Good morning. Get the graphics. Good morning. Good morning to you my brother as well from diaspora. Moses Cartel logged in. Asante sana Ngetich. Good morning. Logged in from Annex Eldoret. Tindra. Good morning team Tackle. Umepotea Tindra. I'm not seeing you in a very long time. Langat Kiprono Dixon logged in from County 001. Kipto Emmanuel, good morning General Bitok from Kipkelion East from team Kiptemora. Asante sana watu wa Kipkelion East. Nilikuwa hapo juzi, nilikuwa natembea kidogo pale. Haya, nikirudi tena nitawasalimia. Mungai Polo anasema by election inaenda UDA Meru and we'll make sure KIMATHI MWITI Nyamu, KIMATHI Moria, Dennis Kithinji watakuambia. Haya, nasikia ujumbe. Unajua kuna bunge inakuja, bunge la mwenyeji tutaifungua saa 3. Tutasikia basi kura inaenda wapi pale Meru. Haya, Maina Wanjoki sasa mkubwa New Jersey logged in. Asante sana Maina Wanjoki, good to see you my brother all the way from New Jersey. Akiwa founder anasema good morning Mr. Tackle guy, good to see you too. Jepkorin Lagat, mtu wa shamba wa grid, anasema mtu wa hoti grid, mtu wa kulima na kulimua, anasema good morning from Eldoret. Good morning to you. Sam Chaps logged in from Kambia Motorongai Nakuru County. Jeffrey anasema tuned in listening from Dar es Salaam. Happy to see wakili Mwiti Kanyamu. Watu wa Dar es Salaam wamefika, wanasema wanatambua wakili Mwiti. Haya, tutajua kama utajaza kura kwenye debe ama itakuwa vipi. Jeffrey John W Karaoke, good morning dear Tacklers. Tuned in from Kasarani, Geoffrey Masha, Kasarani, we are tuned in. Samson Mushiri, tuned in from California. Santa, thank you guys from diaspora for always staying up this late to ensure that you catch up with the tackle. Marion Evachela, good morning GB, tuned in from the City Cabanas. Asante sana wa City Cabanas. Haya, tunalipa madeni kabla tuingie kwa siasa. Najua tukiingia kwa siasa tunaweza kosa kulipa bills. Haya, tuende sokoni kidogo. Tuanza na wangwana Maridadi Motors. Maridadi Motors gives you an opportunity to import directly, and when you get to import directly Maridadi Motors, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings. Why import directly? You get to cut all the links of importation chain. Unapata hapa gari imetoka Japan, ikafika Mombasa kuna Japanese mwingine, ikapatana na Mwarabu, ikafika Nairobi ikapatana na Njoroge akapewa Wafula, kitambo ikufikie kuna chain almost 300% increase in prices. So Maridadi Motors gives you an opportunity to import directly, and when you get to import directly, you get to save up to 300,000 Kenyan shillings when you import directly. Maridadi Motors, direct imports by Maridadi Motors gives you an opportunity to get your vehicle at the cheapest price possible. Also Maridadi Motors gives you an opportunity to invest your money in the import to sell module, where you get to invest your money and you get to earn up to 15% for putting in the money in the company. You get to earn up to 15% on your investment. So this is what happens. They import the car under your name, they sell on your behalf, you get 15% per annum. Pia Maridadi Motors Sacco gives an opportunity to save for 2 reasons. One, if you want to get a unit, you can save with Maridadi Motors 50%. You get to get your unit, unaiendesha pole pole ukianza kulipia ile nyingine pole pole. Na pia also it gives you an opportunity to save in the Sacco as an investment option, where you save and then you also earn 15% returns on your income. Maridadi Driving Academy as well gives you an opportunity to be the best driver in town. Acha kununua gari alafu unazunguka na sticker ya Lana for 3 years. Enda Maridadi Driving Academy, bas unakuwa driver maridadi zaidi. Alafu pia ukishanunua gari lazima uishi kwa nyumba. Unajenga, Rexer Roofing gives an opportunity to roof your house in the most beautiful ways, and we always say this, quality roofing shingles from Rexer Roofing. You can bet this, a guarantee of 50 years. One thing I guarantee is you might not be in 50 years, but your roof will still be here. So 50 years guarantee from Rexer Roofing when you get to roof with their quality roofing shingles or stone-coated tiles by Rexer Roofing. Why shingles? We've given you many advantages many times. And also, after you've roofed, you also need to harvest water. They'll give you an opportunity to harvest water in the most cleanest way, safe water, using UPVC water harvesting gutters. Aone, kina Rexer Roofing, quality roofing shingles, stone-coated tiles, na pia nakupa nafasi ya kuweza kuharvest water UPVC water tiles. If you're also building and you want to waterproof your building, they give you waterproofing solutions, that is waterproofing membrane or waterproofing liquid, whichever works for you. Alafu pia juice ni Orchid Valley. Hakuna juice nyingine, hii ndio juice pekee. Natural ingredients, 100% fruit and veggies. The luxury of apple, celery, spinach, cucumber, ginger, lemon, turmeric, mint and sea salt. This is the best thing you'll ever have. So juice ni wapi? Juice ni Orchid Valley peke yake. Alafu pia kama unataka kununua airtime, enda pale kwa Swift Airtime KE, pay bill number 325325, account number, nambari yako ya simu. Alafu basi unapata airtime kwa njia safi zaidi. Na pia mzigo, kama unataka kuitumana pale, watu wa Zigo wanakupa nafasi ya kuweza kutumana mzigo wako kwa njia shwari zaidi. Haya, wacha nipewa ngwana wangu waonje juice kidogo tukianza kazi. Tuambie kunaendaje. Karibu sana women rep wa Nairobi. Utaniambia unasikia juice ya Orchid Valley iko namna gani? 100%. Mbona naona nimekuspilia kidogo hapo. Asaidia ngwana hapo pia.
Utakunywa tu peke yako.
Bana, napenda wageni. Orchid Valley napenda wageni. Haya, unasikia namna gani?
Fresh.
100% natural. Hii mambo ya sukari, no sugar added.
Very good.
Na sasa ndio women rep mtaendelea kung'ara zaidi. Haya, karibuni. Taanza na wewe Mwiti. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
Very fine. Yes,
good to see you finally.
Asante, unajua si tumeishi ground si wala wanaingi, si tulitangulia kwa last year.
Wewe kabla hujaenda kwa ground, kwanza introduce yourself bwana. Introduce yourself.
Mimi naitwa KIMATHI Mwiti Kanyamu. Yes. Na mimi ni wakili. Na pia mimi nawania kiti ya kule ward huko Meru County ya ward called NTIMA West. Yes, sasa hapo ndio tunaanza siasa ya bottom up vizuri. Yes, ili so that we make sure that our voices are heard and we ensure efficient representation, not just for our generation but also for posterity. So people who've been saying we've not been on the ground, they have just gone to the ground right now sababu ya Kiago. There is politics also beyond Kiago ya Meru. Kiago is just a word. So the entire county has to be felt the presence of a political force that wants to be reckoned with in Meru should have been in the ground much earlier, not rushing right now just because you've seen a certain political party making headways and garnering so much support. You think it's so much easy. Unajua Waswahili wanasema ukiona vyaelea vimeundwa. Sasa tuwa encourage sana wale wamefika kule pia sasa they can do something. Unajua hii ni demokrasia. Yes, but one thing I can assure you, hata wale wa CCK unajua uzuri wanasema wana support William Samuel Ruto kiti ya president. Because kule ground usiposema hiyo utarufukuzwa urudi Nairobi. Yes, hata wao wanajua hivyo. So lakini sasa unajua watu they know so much clearly.
Chauza microphone kidogo
kuangalia. Sasa
uweza kuizungumzia microphone.
The deputy president
bas very good.
Alishatangaza chama yake na chama yake ni chama ya UDA. Na sasa hii chama ingine tunasema hatuelewi sana what's the agenda na wanaelekea wapi. Sisi wacha tukae na source mwenye mambo yote mwenye anataka to transform this country. So hatutaki, tunaogopa broker sana. Kwanza sasa hii Mount Kenya tuseme unajua sasa hii watu kumeletwa very many outfits. People are trying to position themselves. People are trying to show an alternative to what the people of Mount Kenya have shown to be their liking and their affiliation, which is UDA and the support for William Ruto as president in the coming election, actually in 11 months now. So ground iko sawa. Sisi tunakujanga Nairobi kutembea. Mimi naishi huko Meru. And thank you for having me on your show. Yes, unajua tumekuwa tu nikiambia watu tutasalimia Bitok, sasa wameona kweli.
Nimeona nilijipata kwa group nyingine inaitwa Nopeu. Sasa nasikianga wananiongelesha Kimeru huko, sisikii, lakini sasa niliona labda wananiambia nikuje nifanye extension pale ya mambo mengine. Lakini sasa Muchendu amesema nyinyi watu wa UDA mko Nairobi. Sisi amutembee ground. Amesema hapo MCA.
Sisi tunakujanga Nairobi tunakujanga tu materials. Kwa hivyo ukiniona huko Nairobi nimekujia tu material, nirudie mashinani na tunakuja unajua lazima pia tufanye capacity building. Tuambiwe mambo vile inaendelea ili tufikishe mashinani, na hiyo ndio advantage, ni ile strength tuko nayo kama UDA pale. Sisi tunajitolea.
So kiti inaenda UDA ama inaenda CCK? Kiti inaenda CCK ama UDA?
CCK wanajaribu. But unajua pale of course UDA yezi shindwa kwa sababu ya ile presence. Unajua labda kama William the deputy president hangekuwa ametangaza msimamo wako chama gani, lakini watu hata atakwambia watu hata ukisimama wanakuambia wewe tunakupenda, lakini kama usimami na UDA unapoteza wakati.
Kwa hivyo Muchendu arudi Nairobi.
Watu hawezi confuse watu kule.
Haya.
Watu iraundi wanaelewa.
Muchendu umesikia amesema waanza safari ya kurudi Ndeya. Meru ni kubaya.
Wanaogopa kuingia CCK wachapishwe raundi wajikute nasa.
Haya. Ruth Ambogo. Sasa wewe bado uko kwa kiti ama anaitwa nani Adagala? Uliogopa Adagala?
Bitok. I don't know why you keep bringing up.
Nasikia Adagala alikunja shati ukatoroka kuja Nairobi. Are you still running?
No, I don't know why you keep bringing up this conversation.
We want to know.
Unajua tu siasa vile iko. Of course politics, you know that there comes a time when you need to retreat, to re-strategize, you know, to re-energize, because politics also requires a lot of resources that must be gathered for somehow. So I'm sure if you ask any aspirant at the moment, they will tell you that, you know, they also face moments when they have to just, you know, retreat and re-strategize and think about what's the way forward. So it is not the time to ask whether mtu ametoka kwa race ama bado ako. For as long as mimi mwenyewe sijasema kama for as long as I have not publicly said that I am out of the race, then for sure know that I'm still in the race.
So you're still there.
So bado tuko kwa race. Hata wale wengine pia naona ni kama pia wamepiga jeki kidogo, they've taken a break kidogo. Siasa imetulia kidogo kule Vihiga. That is the situation at the moment. And of course again as of course everything you just have to strategize and put your house in order.
That's true.
And you know that politics iko na circles, yeah? Unajua politics pia iko na circles zake. It has its circles, it has its moments, it has times when things are very very much heated up, and it also has times when people just retreat and you know, put their house back in order. And of course, time ya kupiga siasa ile serious bado haijafika bado. No, give it 1-2 months from now, things will start heating up a bit more. And definitely we are still in the race. We are still bado tuko kwa race, bado tuko kwa safari.
Lakini ana tangu uchukue break mengara zaidi. Kama bado ukae break. Kama siasa inamalizanga watu kwa majirani.
Nimeenda nikakula.
Wala kumbe siasa inaletaka shida kidogo. Lakini duru za kuamini kama kutoaminika zinasema ya kwamba umeanza kuvaa koti ya yellow.
Koti ya yellow wapi?
Tulisikia mambo kama hayo. Ukweli?
Wewe umesikia wapi?
Sijui mbona.
Hata
nimesikia hizo duru zimefika hapa. Alex Van Persie anauliza bitoka kuuliza Ruth. Nasikia amenunuliwa na UDA. Je, ni ukweli?
I have never been a member of UDA.
Or you just went for lunch?
No.
I can even see your pen.
I literally have never been a member of UDA. I don't think it is the political party that I would want to peg my ambitions on. So for me, my political choices are not inclusive of UDA at the moment. So if anyone has seen me hanging around members of UDA, I mean, we have friends from across political divide. Unajua sasa shida ya
wanasiasa wetu.
The problem with our politics, the danger with our politics today is that what people do is they associate you with the people that they see you meeting, yeah? So of course I have a lot of friends from that political divide. MWITI here has been my friend for so many years. He's been my friend way before
before the wheelbarrow came.
Way before the wheelbarrow
arrived.
Came, you know. So if we were to tag and peg, or if we were to associate everybody, if we were to decide someone's political persuasion based on who they are hanging around, or based on the kind of friends they are meeting, or the places they are seen to be hanging out, then we would make a lot of error in judgment. So no, I'm not. Mimi siko kwa kambi. I'm not in the yellow camp.
Hauko kwa wheelbarrow.
Siko kwa wheelbarrow mimi.
Haya. So
tangaza lakini.
Hapana, siko huko, please. Tafadhali.
Ama nakuja pole pole.
Unajua ndio wanaanzanga. My political trajectory before it takes off.
Unasikiaga, that is a lie. You know politicians are very amazing people. Ni bongo mtupu. Kidogo siku moja unasikia anakuja na just, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make an announcement.
Major announcement.
I have moved.
The winds have blown my direction.
I've listened to the ground.
To the people.
I've listened to the people, and the people have told me that I can only fit in a wheelbarrow.
No. The truth of the matter is that in VIHIGA, if you want to book your ticket to 5th or 6th position in the race, then you can confidently declare that you're vying on UDA.
Okay.
Yes.
Haya. Mheshimiwa Sylvia Mulama.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Sambamba.
Asante.
I hope you're well.
I am.
Good to see you finally.
Much, and thank you for having me.
Pia wewe nataka nipa nafasi kwanza ujiintroduce kwa hao wananchi kabla hatujakuja kwa mambo yako.
Sylvia Mulama, women representative aspirant for Nairobi County. Tukuje tulete changes, and then I'm also a gender activist, and at the same time an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Okay. So umekuwa Nairobi kwa muda mgani? How long have you been around here?
Nairobi, let's say maisha yote after high school, but in and out, lakini settled properly for the past 2 years.
All right.
Yeah.
So why Nairobi women rep? Why do you want to be a Nairobi women rep?
Simply because Nairobi iko na a lot of challenges. Na hizo challenges hazijaona impact ya kiti cha women representative since it was introduced in the new constitution 2010. And the challenges are very basic. Some of them require policies. Na hizo policies the previous women representatives, none of them has actually tried to introduce new policies in the parliament that will actually better the lives of the women in Nairobi. Then there's the aspect of the the affirmative action fund. That money only shows up a few months to the elections in form of bursaries. The rest is all vacuum. Hatujua zinaenda wapi. Zinazama. So there's a lot of challenges in Nairobi. And I'm hoping that, with somebody from, personally from the corporate world, having a track record of performance, that's what we need for Nairobi. Nairobi needs performance than show off.
So you've been in the corporate world.
Yes.
Okay. For how long?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Yes.
Okay. So, and you feel you're going to change Nairobi?
Yes.
That's what Nairobi needs.
Yes.
Haya. Chama ni gani?
Chama ni ANC, Amani National Congress.
Ati wapi?
ANC, Amani
Wapi?
National Congress.
Nairobi.
Nairobi.
Hi.
Yes, yeah. Nairobi is cosmopolitan. It, you know, it's the basket of all the tribes. And that's the best part about Nairobi. It's beautiful. People in Nairobi, first of all, identify themselves by Nairobi as opposed to where they come from.
Okay.
That's the beauty of Nairobi. And all they want actually is things to function. There's no Nairobian who is thinking, ugali yangu iko wapi, or where's my mursik, before, you know, a good road. Yeah, first have a good road, or rather have the basics that you require as a Nairobian before you require what, you know, culture demands.
Okay. Haya. Mwiti, umeingia ground kwanza Sylvia?
Nilishaingia ground,
Umeingia ground,
tumechapa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Haya.
Tumeshachapa hii ground west, east, south, north.
Bas, imebaki center.
Yes, imebaki sana. CBTS.
Kuna mtu anauliza hapa Joy Kanga anauliza General Bito, please uliza Kimathi Mwithi Kanyamu kama angependa kuvai for MP. Is have ground deserves more than MCA. Umeanza kumwaga mapema? Umefungua wale?
Hapana, unajua lazima every politics, and that's what one thing I came to learn because I've been involved in politics through in the youth league in the past. I think at some point we were even with RUTH and Jubilee Youth League.
No. I was never.
She's always had friends.
Yes. I always had friends in Jubilee. Yes,
and that's why we always feel comfortable
it's the
around
same circle
with her.
Yes,
kwa sababu ana siasa ya wadui.
Yeah.
Sasa hata huku tutawe taratibu. So
Mudogo.
right now,
small.
Yes. We realize that what has really hindered many young leaders from progressing politically has been a lack of a foundation in politics, where now you go just for the big seats, maybe for clout, other than gradual progress and showing people that whatever small you've been given, you've actually done something with it. You know, the Bible actually says that you should be good stewards, and when you're trusted with it little, God will add more to you, you know. So the same case also with politics. People need to first see what you can do with the little you've been given or you've undertaken to do. So that's why I decided to go and begin with the word, so that from there, progressively, people can judge me based on what I can do rather than just who I am. What we want to move away from personality politics to development politics, where it's about your track record, and so that now in future, if people decide that I actually, like now Joy is saying, I can fit and I can maybe look parliamentary, then we'll listen to the voice of the people and comply. But for now, let's begin, and I want to make NTIMA West a model of good development, not just in the constituency, but in the entire county. So that now people can begin to trust young leaders. So we don't just look selfish, that we just want to be powerful, popular, other than meeting the needs or what has taken you to that level of representation. So that's what I seek to achieve. Sasa tunasema NTIMA West ni mwanzo, na tunataka maombi kama ya Joy, tuone mbele itakuwa kama vyema zaidi.
Najua mimi ni bishop, toka kitu ni kuwekelea mikono. Now guys, I mean, let's even start off with this conversation about young people, and we are all young people. Interestingly, and we've always been agitating about having young people in leadership, and over time from 2002 we've seen more young people getting into parliament, getting into positions of leadership, governors, PSs and CSs and all that. From what my brother here has mentioned, Mwiti, is saying, we need people to trust young leaders that they can deliver. Do you guys feel we've done enough as young people, especially those who have gone before us? Do you guys feel we've created the right path for other young leaders behind us? I'll start with you, Sylvia, as we move to other.
Yeah, actually, I would say not really. Progressively, not at all. And I think it's not entirely the mistake of the young people. It has also been hindered by our predecessors, because we've had this society where we have had the same people, the same faces, you know, leading and we follow. And so that vacuum between the older and the younger generation is huge. But now it's closing as you come from our generation to the generation behind us. It's closing in because we are working well together. Our government in itself, or rather our political field, does not have an encouraging space for young people to express themselves, to bring ideas on the table, and to also be part of the competitive delivery of service. And also another aspect to it is the dogma that covers the entire political field, which is corruption. So a few young people that have joined the race, they've kind of drifted off the right path. Yeah. So it's now trying to get into politics by hook or crook, with whichever way, however way you're trying to get in there so that you can also get something for yourself. And as KIMATHI says, humble beginnings are the best. If you start from far and people look at your track record and assess you by your track record, that way it will start giving examples to other young people that, yes, you can get there, but it's all a process. It's not an overnight thing. But what we have perceived and what some of our younger people, our generation, some of them that have gone into parliament before us, they've gone to with an opinion that, let me go and get mine as quickly as possible and move on. Selfish sort of
Okay, so you feel we've not really done enough in getting
I feel
there.
there's more we can do.
Okay, Ruth, what are your thoughts on this?
Before we had the wave of young people getting into leadership, there was the entire conversation about young people's ability to be able to lead, and the conversation was that we cannot trust young people with power. We cannot trust that they would be responsible for whatever positions they would be given. And so when young people took over leadership, the focus became it's almost as if public opinion was already set up against the youth. It's like public opinion was already set up that they would fail in these positions of leadership, and there had been a lot of scrutiny on
people.
the people who the few who got into leadership. So a lot of scrutiny was on them, forgetting that even the older generation has failed in the past. The older generation to date still continues to fail in executing leadership properly. So I think what has happened is that when the lens or when public opinion is already set up against you, when everybody is expecting you to fail, then we fail to even see the few, or rather we fail to see the cases of successful leadership that has emerged from the young leaders that have gotten into positions of power. For instance, I will give you an example of, the example I like to give is the solidarity we saw amongst young senators last year when there was the entire debate about allocation of resources. I think for me that was a classic, basically it was a classic display of what young people can do when they unite together in positions of leadership. The power that young people hold, and the amount of change that they can bring about if they unite together as young leaders. We have seen young leaders, for instance, the nominated member of parliament Gideon Keter, whose case I also like to refer to, a young person who stood out in terms of trying to come up with legislation that would improve the lives of young people. The most recent legislation being this of HELB that was shot down by members of parliament who actually tend to be the older members of parliament, So I think when society is already thinking that, as a young person you're set up to fail, as a young person we cannot trust you with leadership, then very little is done to even try and see what are the positives that your leadership has delivered. Remember that that this is pretty much we are just experiencing youth leadership for I'd say maybe for 10 or so years, ever since the promulgation of the new constitution that brought about positions such as members of county assembly. And you find that there are a lot of success cases of members of county assembly who are actually doing great tremendous work back at their wards and bringing about change and doing great work at the ward level. Look at some of the CASs that government put rather appointed to positions of power.
Yeah.
For example, we are seeing the great work that Osian is doing right now, you know, within the trade ministry. Look at the work that Mercy, the CAS for Health, is doing right now. Look at the work that the CAS for Youth is doing at the moment. So I think when society is already thinking that as a young person, as a young leader, we
You're
don't
predisposed
expect
to
you,
fail.
you know, we don't trust you with leadership, then even the little positive, or even it doesn't even have to be little, but even basically the positive work that you're doing, nobody would tend to focus on it, you know. So everybody will focus on what are the negatives. And of course, we cannot dispute the fact that we have a few young leaders who have set a very bad example for youth leadership that even makes society begin to rethink that, you know, can we trust youth leaders? We cannot ignore that aspect of youth leadership where we have seen some really bad examples of youth leadership, you know, young people getting elected into positions of power. Some of them we've seen their public display of arrogance. We've seen a lot of them engaged in you know, funny cases, shooting incidences, you know, across within places of entertainment joints. We've seen all these, you know, ridiculous things that some young leaders have done that have come to the public attention, but we cannot also dismiss the good work that a great number of them, a great percentage of them are doing that ends up going undocumented simply because society is already thinking of what's the negatives, what are the negatives that are associated with youth leadership. So I think we need to give young people a lot more, you know, let's give a lot more, let's give young people more opportunity to lead. Let's give them, you know, more chances to lead, because again, remember what also happens, and I've had such conversations. I've had these conversations with some of the with a few members of parliament and, you know, senators who are in office, and you hear them talking about how the space itself is, you know, there's some hostility when you get into that leadership space as a young person. It's not very welcoming. You find that you're very few of you, you know, you're very few of you. And even if you want to bring about change, if you're thinking about, you know, for instance, coming up with a bill, I had a conversation with Gideon Keter, and what was coming out of that conversation was that you want to push for change, but it's almost as if you're the only one who is seeing the need for this particular change, especially when it comes to change that involves young people. It's as if you're the only one seeing the need for this change. So even when you want to mobilize, for instance, the older members of parliament to try and push for a certain bill that would be able to benefit the lives of young people, you find that the scales are set up against you because you are alone, you know. You don't have this circle of people. You don't have a great community of fellow young members of parliament that would support whatever it is that you want to push for. So I think the more numbers of young people that we have in parliament, the more, you know, and in spaces of leadership, the more we will get to see, you know, change around issues affecting young people, issues affecting the population in general as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mheshimiwa
Yes.
Kanjora, do you think the youth have attracted enough credibility? But those who have gone before us.
Yes, last 10 years I've seen a lot of youth rise in positions of leadership and senior leadership in this country, actually to the point that it's no longer in doubt that youth can lead. So we now need to get to the point where we don't just get satisfied in saying people can trust youth, to showing that now, apart from the trust given, it's about us not now working harder to make sure we don't betray that trust, and also show that we are competent and we can even be competent, more competent than other leaders who are not even youth. Yeah, so that we can now we can add to the threshold of leadership. My point is, like, for instance, in my ward, because mimi niko kwa ground na sasa nitaongea tukia siasa kidogo ya experience ya ground. In NTIMA West Ward, North constituency, Meru County, that's the first office, UDA office we've had in Meru County. And it's been we actually built that office from ground up. And because and now it was the idea was first to sell the party, and also use that office as a mobilization point for UDA, not just in my ward but also in the region, in Meru County. So much important that it came now, because we have even the Kiago by-election, which is the constituency neighboring mine. So it's coming so much in handy, because a lot of young leaders also are taking cue from that. They are seeing it's party politics is not just the reserve of the people who've been there. It's not just the reserve of maybe the who is who, the experienced politicians. You as a young person, you can make your change and contribute to the party other than just waiting to be told where to go. You can get engaged in the political process and influence the trajectory of this nation in your own small way. So that's why we're encouraging a lot of young people to come and run for positions of MCA because it has that touch with the Mwananchi. First of all, you get to know what Mwananchi really wants and really needs at that area of locality, for instance. So with the experience in the ground, what I can say is that the trust is there, but now it's on us. People don't doubt at all that a youth can actually become an MCA there and lead. But what people now would be interested in now in the next 10 years, because now we've had 10 years since the promulgation of the constitution that gave a lot of spaces for young people. So in the next 10 years, what people really need to know, and the next generation of young leaders will be judged by what they have done, and not the lofty positions they've held, but with the positions they've had. You know, now, even in the political process, an MCA is the most basic unit of leadership in the country. And from there now, it can start as a very good, where you say, an academy of future leaders, because you begin with the people and grow progressively, understanding and knowing the system, and in that way you can properly contribute to the development of your people, because you grow within the system. I'm saying the political system. And now, as opposed to trying to get to very high positions, that's why we're trying to, even Palemeru and Mount Kenya in general, we're trying to encourage young people. Okay, it's good for those high positions, because we've seen there are those who've dared to try and gotten them. But also do not underestimate and do not ignore those small positions there, because in the county assemblies, that in the next 10 years, we need proper debate. We need good contribution. We need people who are exposed and learned in those county assemblies, because we've seen devolution can work. And when resources are closer to the people, and that's why in UDA we people really identify, for instance, in Mount Kenya, with the bottom-up model. Because
we'll get the bottom up. You've jumped all the hawks.
Yes, and I'm trying.
I asked you a question about youth. You've gone to UDA. Now you're already in bottom up.
Bottom up. Once in MCA, wakifika mpaka bottom up. Bottom up, you can apply in very many ways, and bring now sustainable development.
For young people. All right. So fuel prices for the first time in Kenya, historic high. Petrol 134 shillings in Nairobi. So it means as you go further to VIHIGA, you're going to pay 500 shillings per liter. And I mean, guys, sometimes I just lack words to use for this government. 134 in Nairobi. The highest, I think, in the villages was 128. The highest was 128. Now 134 in Nairobi, so you can almost count. The highest probably would be 137 in the villages. How can we hack this? You talk about manufacturing. I mean, what runs the energy in this country? Of course, as we speak right now, we don't have nuclear energy. It's fuel. It's gasoline. I mean, border petroli. Kila kitu inarun petroli. Matatu petroli. So it means again the ripple effect would even run to buy matatu, food and all that. Sylvia, what do you make out of this? Do you think the government is a bit insensitive to its people?
Yes. It's actually a very difficult moment, especially not post-COVID. We're still reeling through the shock of COVID. And as a country, we didn't get much relief like other governments did, or rather other countries did. The relief we got was very brief for a few months. And after that, everybody was thrown back in the net to fend for themselves. So the last thing you would expect is fuel prices to go up. There's surely something the government can do, or a subsidy to bring the cost of fuel down. And just like you said, if a border guy, for instance, is buying fuel for 134 shillings per liter and is charging people 100 shillings for a ride, how much is he going to make in the day? Uber drivers, they're earning very little money. They're not getting any subsidies on the fuel prices. So this is where now the government would say that they step in to subsidize on the to support the people. I mean, to support the people of Kenya. You have the food prices also shooting up based on the prices of fuel going up. So at this moment and point time, I would say actually the government is actually not looking into the suffrage of the Kenyan people right now. There is too much on the plate. There are so many people unemployed right now. Businesses are barely surviving, just about floating to pay their bills. A lot of people are not even getting credit facilities anymore for from their suppliers because of the effect of COVID, because of money not transacting. And at the same time, the banks are not extending loans or soft loans either because of the risk involved. So the government actually needs to look into this and try to do something about the fuel. It's going to choke people. It's going to produce a lot of burglary and theft. It's going to produce, companies shutting down, and even the small businesses not even being able to transact, because the whole economy system of Kenya depends on this fuel price.
All right, Ruth.
Yes. I think I'd like to agree with her.
Asa ground mtaanza kutembea mguu.
Ground itabidi sasa kwa ground tutembea mguu.
Ama mnunua ponda.
I think I agree. I would like to agree with her that the cost of living has generally gone up for Kenyans, and it's becoming even more and more unbearable for many people to survive within, the city. Nairobi itself is becoming unbearable for most people who don't have an income to survive within the city. So you get a lot of people relocating back to the villages because the dreams and hopes they had of getting jobs and employment within the city to be able to sustain themselves and their families are not, satisfied or met as they hoped they would. So the cost of living has gone up, and I have always tried to understand how, the oil, the petroleum and oil industry works in Kenya, because a lot of times you hear that the fuel prices of Kenya, fuel prices in Kenya are higher than our neighboring countries, and yet, fuel has to pass through Kenya
to go
to the other countries, So it's something that I do not understand. I don't know whether it's cartelism. I just do not understand the concept of how, Rwanda, for instance, Tanzania, for instance, gets its oil through Kenya, and the cost of fuel there is cheaper than Kenya, So, it's something that needs to be looked into. What she's just mentioned right now of, for instance, taxi operators and this, the mobile app taxi operators, Bolt and the Ubers, the frustration that goes on within this industry is one that one cannot even describe, and of course the effects of the same are now being felt on the kind of incidences that we are seeing recently of Bolt drivers assaulting their passengers because they expect passengers to pay more than what the app was showing. A lot of times, when you're in the city, for as long as wewe ni I would not say hustler per se, but for as long as wewe ni mtafutaji wa chakula cha kila siku in Nairobi, you will definitely find yourself using bodabodas every once in a while. And personally, I've had incidences where you have someone who is your designated bodaboda rider just in case you need to get from point A to point B, fast enough because of traffic. And after some time you call them and they tell you, hey, mimi nilifunga biashara, nilienda nyumbani ushago because I could not survive. The cost of living in Nairobi became too expensive for me. So I think it really needs to be looked into, because we can't continue like this. And the thing about the cost of living going up is that it will only continue going, higher. That's the problem. Like, inflation only continues going higher. Like once the prices of goods go up, it's harder for the
difficult to
prices
bring
of
them
goods
down,
to come down, but easier for the prices of goods to continue going up, you know. Bread that used to retail at 25 shillings that is now retailing at 50 shillings a few years from now will be retailing at 100 shillings, you know.
Sure.
And that
hata
will
nilisikia anko akisema mkate ni shilingi 500,
you know, so
Kwingine.
I mean it's easier
From
for the
State
cost
House.
of living to continue going up
ni kama
as
anaona he is
opposed to-
envisioning.
as opposed to coming down. So interventions need to be put in place to ensure that, you know, the economy stabilizes. And for me, I think Kenya's problem is majorly leaning towards corruption. Kenya's greatest problem is around corruption. That if we could be able to curtail the high levels, the you know, the amounts of the levels of corruption that take place in this country, if we can be able to curtail corruption in the country, then we'll see a significant change in the prices of goods. You know, we'll see a significant change in the cost of living. You know, the cost of living will probably come down. If we can be able to deal with that, then I think the problem will be probably half solved.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mwiti.
Yes.
Even as you're arguing about fuel and the way it keeps getting up, you know, when they added it to 125 shillings, I think, at the time,
Yeah.
imagine that maybe 127. You are like, oh, I don't think they can go further than this. They do 127, they say, die. 127.8. Hawezi pita hapa. Watarudi nyuma.
Na bado.
Na nilisikianga ati kulikuanga na kakitu kalipatikana ni kama ni mafuta pale Turkana. Nikaona malori. Sijui iliendanga wapi.
Ilikuwa kipindi.
Yeah.
Sasa, you know the problem with this country, and I agree.
Where's our fuel?
You know, right now the problem we're having is a leadership that is out of touch, and they have not begun being out of touch right now. The leadership of this country has been out of touch from the realities of the ordinary Kenyan, as Ruth has tried to show. And only that she's tried to be very politically correct and avoided the term hustler completely. Hataki kusema na ameishi kusema ni hustler. No, lakini tunaelewa ni msimu.
Nasema atakimbizwa kwa NC.
So when a leadership is out of touch and doesn't connect, and that's why we need, the problem we have in Kenya right now can only be solved by changing the economic model. That can only give sustainable remedy for the future. And if we don't change the economic model where we expect so much from a trickle down that has not worked all these years for over 60 years, then we only expect Kenya now maybe to get to the point of being almost a failed state. Because if we cannot support the daily living of the ordinary Kenyan and make life so hard for them that you don't expect anything else other than maybe even an uprising. And so as to avoid all that repercussions, all those repercussions that could arise from very high standards of living and acute inflation, will be to sensitize the people. And that's why this political process is giving us a singular opportunity, all of us, and especially the youth, because we bear the biggest burden of the economic turmoil we have in right now in this country. So Kenya, yes, as you say, kuna mafuta, but then what's the cost of you know, at the end of the day, kuna plus na minus, yeah. So we are having like in Tanzania, it's true, fuel is cheaper there, but here in Kenya, things are different because we even have a lot of debts to pay. I actually don't envy anyone the person who will become president, the next president, because they will inherit a rotten system, and so much that the only thing maybe they will do for the 2-3 years will be to undo what the Uhuru administration has leveled to all of us.
But you are the ones who wants to be president.
I'm saying
doesn't envy.
the person who will be president will be in a very tough position. That's why we need someone who can make tough choices. We need someone who's competent enough to know where this country has tipped from. We don't want people who just interested in maybe fulfilling long-held ambitions of being president. We don't want people who feel that it's prestigious enough, maybe because of their family name. We want someone who has an agenda, someone who actually has a plan. And that's why people and Kenyans at large are falling in love with the hustler narrative, as is so called by Ruth. But it's not just a narrative, but it's a working solution that will cure so much that that is facing our nation, especially the economic question.
Okay.
The other, in UDA, we focus on the economic aspect and economic empowerment of Kenyans. We're saying the problem in Kenya is that people are finding life is difficult. People don't have money in their pocket. The problem with Kenya is not being disunited. The problem with Kenya is not our tribes. Actually, that's our strength. And that's why with that strength, we can come in unity of diversity and share our strengths as a nation. And now focus on the economics of this country and the economics of everyone. Because if you're poor, irrespective of what tribe you come from. So that if we focus on the economics, so that should be the agenda. The agenda in the next 11 months, now we've gotten into political season, because now it's just less than a year to the election. We need to have leaders who have an agenda of our economy. That's what we want to hear. Otherwise,
so fuel will be
anything other than
cheaper.
that, yeah.
So bei ya mafuta itapunguka.
When we change the economic model, of course, economic model.
How?
Utaenda kwa economic model.
We'll take so
Tukome kwa mafuta. Na tafadhali tukae kwa swali.
We'll take our focus so much from the enablers, what the ones who call themselves the enablers of the economy, the big industries, you know, and the billionaires, yeah. And now take our focus to what works for the mwananchi, not works for the enablers, because we've trusted these enablers to try and spike the economy for ages and ages, and it's always been a pipe dream. Trickle down promises more than it can deliver. We need now to test this economic model, because actually the world over is looking at that. Look at America. The American administration right now is also applying the same model, because in our current politics and geopolitics, actually, globally, people have come to realize that if people are not empowered from the bottom, then it will be very difficult, because we have in our economic time where not everyone is employed. In civil service. Not everybody has an opportunity, like my friend here, to have been in the corporate sector for years. Many people depend in small economies, people who are not even recognized by government that they actually contributors of the economy. Let's not just focus on the big multi-million, billion industries and enablers, Let's look at the common mwananchi and let's bring them into the tax bracket so that they can be able to contribute, because a lot of money actually comes from those small, and now we fashion an economic model in the country that supports their investments, that supports their savings. So now we empower circles and not put all our focus on banks that only support a few. Let's put our money where it really needs to be, to the many people, few people, many millions of people who are hardworking Kenyans and want a chance also in the national cake. That way, we'll just not be fair to them, but also we'll do that which is godly, to empower everyone in this country. Do what they really can do.
Since I think KIMATHI has really been trying to find his way to the bottom up. So I think we just go there. Since I think I asked you about fuel, you've taken me to bottom up. I asked you about youth, you're in the bottom up. So I think you've been finding your way there. So what we do is let's just go to the battle of economic models. But before we go to that, let's go to Laikipia, and don't go again to the economic models.
I actually
What's going on in Laikipia?
Quickly respond to, quickly just respond to what MWITI has said. MWITI is, I mean, he's said a lot of things, but the one thing that I think stands out for me and should stand out for any Kenyan is that, when he talks about the person who is supposed to take over reins of power from Uhuru Kenyatta, that this is the person who will transform the economy and take it away from where we are right now. And the person that he's pushing or proposing to take over Uhuru Kenyatta's administration is someone who's been in the same Uhuru Kenyatta administration that is talking about bringing us to where we are right now economically. And my question becomes that, what has he done while he's still in this administration.
Okay.
What is he doing right now to ensure that, the situation is remedied? Because
I'll get
this
back
is
to you.
someone who has consistently, said that he's still in government. He was rightfully elected. What is he doing about the situation right now? What is so different? What is this difference that he will bring about that he failed to bring about during this particular government? If we are faulting this government for being where we are right now economically, then everybody who was part of that government, who was part of the top leadership of that government, needs to go when the term comes to an end.
Okay. Sylvia, you have something to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, when you talk about bottom-up economic model, you have to actually be very clear on what you're talking about. And I don't think MWITI here and the entire UDA team have actually worked out the bottom-up model and how exactly it works and how they are going to implement it.
It is just
we
a
are
phrase.
It's just a phrase. We are talking about an emerging, we are an emerging economy, so we are no longer a third world economy. And the aspect of being an emerging economy, we don't even have the funds right now or the structures in place to be able to say we are a really extended social system. It tried in Greece and it failed terribly. And that's why Greece up to now, they are still on their knees begging the EU to bail them up time and again. So I would just like to say, please don't mislead Kenyans with the bottom up. Give them the realistic proposals that you're actually going to deliver. Because that one is not going to be delivered. It's going to be one of those wish-wash problems and promises that have always been empty, and then the Kenyans are going to end up again in the same set.
Okay. All right. MWITI, your thoughts?
Reply. Yes, before my thoughts. Because she has touched on a very sensitive area, which actually has to be clarified at this point. Because the deputy president, in the first term of the Jubilee administration, there was a lot of order and organization. Okay. And I say that because I was part of the people who supported the Jubilee government to be in power even in 2013. And we had so much faith. Actually, the young people, they were our hope. Yeah. And first time things were going quite well, and comparatively with the second term, you can say it was a good government. But right now, there was so much now preoccupation. The first term, the deputy president was a partner in the administration and a contributor of the administration, and a very good, actually, mobilizer during campaigns. He was part of it. So second term, I don't know what happened, and there was so much preoccupation with people in government trying to show him that he was actually given a lift there, and he doesn't have so much stake in it. And so that's what now we can say Ruth maybe is trying to allude to, that he's been part of it, but not entirely, because there was a solid plan, big four agenda, that was to be implemented in the second term of Uhuru's administration.
But it is being implemented.
We were treated to sideshows
It is
of
being
BBI
implemented
as the biggest solution that and the biggest gift we can give to ourselves and the future, which ended up being a scam that was actually nullified by the courts. Yeah. So what we are saying is that we need to stick to the agenda and the agenda of the Kenyans right now, and that's why. With all honesty, Deputy President William Ruto has no choice but to get the ground like he's gotten it across the country. Why? Because he's the only one who has the solution that Kenyans are looking for. Okay. Kenyans are pained, like you're saying, fuel prices, a lot of bad headlines, not just fuel prices, but also mental health issues that have bedeviled our generation. Like, actually, because our things are not just about bottom-up and economics. We also want people to have wellness, what we call wellness, mental health. Yeah, we want people to contribute to the economy as they also focus on self-development, because we don't want to create robots of men. Yeah, we want to have people who are properly functioning, not just at work, but also at homes. So the aspect of mental health, we've also focused even in Meru, NTIMA West. This is not just theory, we've applied it. We have a group there that has we've been going through around churches, sensitizing youth about mental health issues, and we partner with a Methodist treatment center in Meru, where people who are facing addiction problems can
go there and get help.
Rehabilitated. Apart from that, we have another group now called MEOC in Meru. It's called Mount Kenya East Youth Economic Council. Yeah, MEOC, Mount Kenya East Youth Council, actually. So, but the focus is so much on the economy, so that we have people being mainstreamed in our body politic. Yeah, so that people, however small your voice is, can be heard even on a national platform. Yeah, and that's why we have in partners there. The people actually leading that program are wonderful supporters, and they support even what UDA is standing for, bottom up. Yeah, led by Daktari Dennis Kithenji. He's Secretary General of the MEOC in Meru, and they have an awesome team. Actually, hundreds and hundreds of members in that MEOC team. And apart from also trying to influence the political direction and things, we want to stick to the main agenda, which Kenyans want to hear. Don't tell them we want to unite Kenya. Kenya right now is united. There's no trouble. Don't tell them that our tribes have to be on the national table. No, don't talk about tribes, because our problem, we've seen, even with the entire BBI process, we saw the only problem that divides all of us more, not the tribe, but the pocket.
Okay. Yes. Guys, so even if, as you guys insist that the bottom up will not work, the bottom up is not the best, what is the solution? Which solutions are, because every other person who is opposing bottom up is not giving us a solution.
I mean, we already have an economic...
Because I think the Mwananchi, me as a Mwananchi, I want the luxury of choice. Like when the way we are doing KCP, there is A, B, C, D. If you are convincing me that A is not working, I need B, C, D. Where is the B, C, D?
Is what we have.
The solution is very simple. We already have an economic model in the country that is working. But of course, it's
working.
Well, it's supposed to be working. But like I said, I was just about to say, but...
nimeshtuka juu umetoka kusema uchumi ni mbaya, then kashangaa unataka kusema tena the economy is working.
But the model that we have can work very well for this country. But it's, hindered by massive corruption. What we are going through at the moment, according to economics, what needs to be done right now, and which the party leader of ANC, Musalia Mudavadi, has raised and talked about over and over again. What needs to be done, first of all, is to check the tax bracket. Our tax bracket is very high. The taxes are, in fact, the fuel prices, like we were talking about earlier, the fuel prices is also driven by the tax in itself. So if we work on the tax bracket and reduce the tax bracket for a period of time.
Reduce the tax bracket or reduce the success?
The bracket.
Okay.
Yeah. For a certain period of time, so that we can get the economy back moving, people buying the goods, products moving, imports coming in, and people investing for a period of time. And then also
relax, man.
And also the second thing is to look into look at, first of all, the high prices, bring them down. Then the next thing is to restructure the debt.
Okay.
Our debt is too high. We are choking on paying for it every month. We are not behind, as the president said himself, that we are actually in time with our payments. However, if we can renegotiate that debt and extend it so that we can get a breather as a country. Even you as an individual, you understand for yourself, when you have a choking bank account, if you can talk to your bank and they extend your, they reduce the interest rate or extend your payment period, it brings your payments slower. It gives you a little bit more money in the kitty. And if the taxes are reduced, then you also get a little bit more money in the kitty. That will bring a breather to Kenyans, such that they can now get the wheel back moving. That's the solution we need right now.
So which economic model is that? Does it have a name?
No, it doesn't have a name. It's the
status quo.
It's not the status quo.
Yeah.
The status quo is that nothing is functioning right now.
All right. So let me ask you,
the
Sylivia.
government right now.
You cannot be the moderator, Kimathi. You cannot be a panelist and a moderator.
Yes.
So let me ask you, before I move to Ruth, let me ask you, Sylvia.
Yes.
There are only two ways the government can raise money.
Yes.
You're either taxing or you're borrowing. So if you say the government should should stop taxing Kenyans, then you're telling them to borrow.
No,
Where are you planning to get revenue from?
No, we're not trying to say borrow. First of all, what you have to do is to curb corruption. We are losing close to 2 billion shillings per day, all being stolen right hand in broad daylight from ministries, from different departments, from counties. Or most governors right now, they cannot account for the money, the 15% that has been disbanded to them every month. They cannot account for it. That is money that needs to be going back into the public service. People have not earned their salaries basically because somebody has stolen money, stolen hard money. Let's start there. There is money in this country, but 3/4 of it is being stolen. So if we sort out the corruption aspect of it, first of all, we will have money in our kitty. Our taxation, our tax system is okay. And what we're trying to say is that we just need to reduce it for a short period of time.
Like how long?
So that we can like 2 years.
So in 2 years, how much would you think you would raise by reducing taxes in 2 years? Any projections?
If we are losing, first of all, 2 billion per day, if you calculate...
That is taxes.
No,
That's got
in
what you're going to
corruption.
say. That's corruption. Now
Yeah.
taxes. You
Yes.
think you're going to reduce tax. In your projection, how much will you be able to raise in 2 years break?
You can raise more than 1 trillion.
1 trillion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aye. Ruth Ambogo.
Yes.
Economic model. Give me the name of the economic model, the alternative.
This is not a conversation about the name of the economic model.
Okay, give me the
but,
economic model.
We need to understand what has been working for Kenya. And this entire conversation about bottom up is actually the whole, this whole narrative that, the hustlers or the hustler nation are
Forget
trying
about
to...
the hustlers. Give us alternative.
No, I'm just...
You've talked about the
Please,
hustlers.
allow me to just put my point across. Because without saying what I want to say, I will not get to my point. Which is that this discussion that the hustler nation is trying to push of a bottom-up economic model is a conversation that actually started way back in 2010 with the promulgation of the new constitution. And the solution that had been proposed, which is what is working right now, is devolution. And basically what these people are trying to say, in other words, is what devolution has been trying to achieve ever since the constitution was promulgated. The intent of devolution was to ensure that there was growth and development to the lowest unit of administration, which is the ward level. That now resources would come, from the national government, down to the county government. That there's that development. That comes, as money comes from the national government down to the ward level. Then you're ensuring that to the lowest unit of administration, to the most common of the mwananchi, that there is money that actually trickles down to them. And you see, the moment you say you're trickling down this money to the commonest of the mwananchi, to that boda person, to that mamamboga person, then they can be able to take care of their families, they can be able to take care of their affairs, they can be able to survive. That is the economic model that has been working for this country. And in all honesty, I think so far the economic model has achieved a lot as opposed to the model that we had previously. We've only had devolution for 10 years, but go back to the counties and see how things are working in the counties. Look at how counties have developed and grown. Look at how places that were just, deep interior regions that nobody thought about, nobody cared about, have now grown into small economic centers and hubs that people can actually make a living from. And even now, as we talk about devolution, we are now seeing a lot more growth and development within the mashinani area that even reduces the number of people who think that the only way to make a living is to go to the city areas, is to move to places such as Mombasa, move to places such as Kisumu, big towns like Eldoret and Nakuru and Mombasa to make a living. So devolution so far has been working. And what these bottom-up people have been trying to say is that they are saying, we are trying to think about how we will take care, how we will come up with, for example, set aside funds to be able to fund businesses run by young people. What exactly has Youth Enterprise Development Fund and all those other funds that have been put in place? What was the purpose of such funds? To say that nothing has been working for these groups of people, to say that there has been nothing in place for women, nothing in place for young people who wish to get into business would be a lie, when we already know clearly that we have the existence of all these funds that are targeting these particular groups of people. that the hustler nation is trying to say that they will be able to uplift their lives. You know, so I think it is very misleading when they purport that, you know, government has done nothing, absolutely nothing to uplift the lives of the common mwananchi. When we have social welfare programs in place, you know, we have funds that are even set aside for the elderly within the community. We have funds that are being set aside to support enterprises that are run by young people, enterprises that are run by women, and most enterprises that are run by young people are enterprises around, you know, businesses such as the border businesses, businesses around, you know, that basically focus on people such as, you know, groups of entrepreneurs like Mama Mboga that these people continuously talk about. So I think what needs to happen is that we need to just put emphasis on improving devolution as a model. We need to put emphasis on ensuring that it effectively works, you know, as opposed to coming up with a model that has zero content whatsoever, has zero plan whatsoever. When you ask the people who are pushing this particular model, what is the design of this model? How is it supposed to ensure that the lives of the mwananchi are actually uplifted? How is it supposed to operate? Nobody has a clue about it. Everybody has their own version of how this model is supposed to work. So what I say is this, that when you are bringing money from the top to the bottom, it is the trickle down economics that we are talking about. You're basically it's the trickle down economics that we are talking about that brings money from the top to the bottom. And then now at the bottom level, because now you have money, you can be able to run your affairs, you can be able to operate your businesses. Then you can be able to take care of your most immediate needs. You can be able to take care of your family affairs, which is basically what these people are trying to push. It is in other words, it's basically devolution disguised in another term, which, you know, without content, without direction.
So Ruth, is the economic model as we have right now working? You believe it's working?
It is working.
It's fine. Okay.
So
your alternative is a status quo.
In my opinion, it is working. All that needs to be done is to improve it, make it more efficient, you know. And we are 10 years is such a short period of time to ensure that a particular economic model is perfectly working, you know. So give it more time, improve on it, ensure that if money needs to be allocated to the county government, that money is allocated in time to ensure that, you know, various functions of the county government are operating and functioning. Just make sure that it is efficient. That is it.
Okay, all right.
I just want to just make a clarification. We know what we are talking about. When we say bottom up, actually, UDA is a very organized party. Like tomorrow, they will, at Hustler Center headquarters, there is a session for young and aspirants who are running, and it will be graced by economist David Ndi, among also Senator Anwar will also be there, the executive director of the party, Pesa. Mr. Pesa will be also in attendance. So we build a lot of capacity in UDA. Because we know the only people who can drive this conversation are the young people. And young people, they need to be informed, because that's the greatest power in our century right now. Moving now to the point, devolution is not an economic model. It is just an enabler of an economic model. And the economic model of bottom-up, actually, you know, the trickle-down that we're having right now has not just messed Kenya. It also caused a lot of mess in the United States. And that's why Joe Biden is shifting from it. Slowly by slowly. There's a lot of tug over there. But also here, we need to have that economic struggle so as to find that economic freedom. Because our people will suffer and continue to languish if our only solution to our economic problems, like they are saying, my friends are saying here, that is to reduce the tax bracket. So that now we can begin to talk about big industries now, because they are the ones who will be left in the bracket, to be empowered, to be given a lot of tax cuts. We're talking about loosened regulations, maybe in our law, to enable them now, spur the economy, employ more people. And that's the whole point. We're saying, actually, Kenyans, there are 4 million Kenyans who don't have employment or are underemployment. When you give billions and billions, a lot of favors to these bigger industries in the hope of spurring economic growth, how many of those will be employed? Because our economy as it is right now, it's being driven not just by people who are employed, that we now focus on big industries, we focus on loans. How many Kenyans can get access to bank loans, for instance? Yeah? Actually, many Kenyans can't even be allowed to borrow from SACCOs. So we need to and that's why we keep saying the symbol of our party is that wheelbarrow. So that now when you ask why wheelbarrow right now at this time, we ask the question, why is it that wheelbarrow is a very important tool even right now in Kenya, that so many Kenyans actually don't have it when they depend on it. In our markets uko Meru, people wanakomboa wheelbarrow na shilingi 10.
Okay, so hiyo ndio itajenga uchumi. Haya,
sasa huyo ukimpea wheelbarrow hiyo 10 bob ni chai kila siku.
Haya,
sasa hiyo ndio tunasema we want people to be empowered where they are. Sio sasa ufikirie sasa unataka kutoa mtu kwa soko wende akaanze kuosha chupa kwa Bidco ama kwa kampuni gani kubwa, you know,
apate pesa.
Ile apate pesa na
let's move from the it's 9
ile kubwa
guys,
kuliko ile atalipa.
It's 9 or 8. Now let's move the conversation a bit faster. Okay, sawa, tumesikia. So wewe tumesikia yako
just an example so that Kenyans, because a lot of Kenyans are listening, hata kule ground wanasikia hii conversation na tutaki tuwapotoshe kuwaambia ati hii saa hii inafanya kazi lakini atirekebishwe hapa na sasa kuna watu wanajiposition.
Sawa, tumemalizana economic models. Wewe umetuambia yako ni bottom up.
Yes.
Ruth ametuambia yake ni ile iko sahihi inaijenga.
Hiyo si alternative lakini.
Sasa Sylvia ametuambia the economic model that is coming ni ya kupunguza ushuru na kupigana na ufisadi.
Yes.
Haya, so the Kenyans have alternatives as we see. If they feel Ruth's alternative which is already there is working, fine, they choose it. If Sylvia ametuambia ANC ni kupunguza ushuru na kutoa corruption, yako umesema tujenge uchumi kutoka chini. Haya, that is the conversation on the economy. Now we move forward very quickly.
Yes.
And there are two things that are running now. Everybody is having a conversation around running mates. Kila mtu anazungumzia mambo ya running mates.
Yes.
I'll start with you, Sylvia, from ANC. What are your considerations on running mate? And why?
I think that is way far in discussions.
Okay.
And I would say I would prefer, being a woman, that when our party leader decides to choose the running mate, he gives an opportunity to women, to be the running mate.
Okay, sawa. Haya, Ruth Ambogo.
Yes.
Sasa hiyo ni kama una candidate. Ambogo na. All right, so you can give general comments. You know, in this situation, everybody is trying to get a running mate, and every region is standing up to say we deserve the running mate.
Yes.
And we'll even next we'll go to the demands by Moses Kuria that is saying that Central Kenya is not going to negotiate. I mean, they are saying it's de facto. It's either they're getting the deputy president's post, or they're getting 40% of the government, or they are not in it. Before you go there, Ruth Ambogo, what do you see as the politics shape up? Who do you think is going to align with you and why?
Well, there has been a lot of conversation about the fact that a deputy president has to come from Mount Kenya region. And I like the fact that very recently, as of early this week, we have seen we are starting to see a shift in the narrative, where some people are coming up and saying that must it really be that a deputy president has to come from the central region? And the backing of what they are talking about is basically from the fact that we've seen in the past, we've seen, for instance, Raila Odinga vying without necessarily picking a running mate from central Kenya, and he was able to garner a lot of votes leading up to elections, the various times that he has vied in the elections for presidency, that he has proven in the past that you really don't need a running mate from the central Kenya region. And I would want to see that conversation actually grow and mature, because when we say that, when we start putting ultimatums and saying that if a running mate doesn't come from this particular region, then you will not basically win the elections, then we are still pushing ourselves into that corner of tribal and region politics, which doesn't serve our interest as a country per se. So I would want to see other regions come up and solidify, because why the conversation right now is still centered on a deputy president must come from central Kenya is because the central Kenya region leaders are pushing the narrative to focus on them, are pushing the conversation to focus on their region. So I would wish to see other regions coming up and uniting and having their leaders meet up, come up with conversations, start conversations about their regions. For instance, what I say is, if the Western region, for instance, was to unify and the leaders were to come up together and start also having weekly meetings where they discuss what is in it for us as a people, where they discuss what are our issues, what is affecting us as a people, then the conversation would quickly shift, where they would say that we as the Western Kenya region, if you are to approach us to give you the votes, then you must consider the following issues that are affecting us as a people. You must consider the following demands that we are putting to the table. The conversation would quickly shift from the Central Kenya region. If again we were to have, for instance, the coastal region to come up together as come together as a region, and regardless of their political differences and the various political parties that they come from, and start having conversations about how do we ensure that the issues of the coastal region are well taken care of, the affairs of the people of the coast, the concerns they have, and also put together some non-negotiable terms, then also the conversation would shift. So I would wish to see all regions coming up and sitting down and saying, this is what we want for our people. This is what we wish to have. This is what we wish to have addressed by whoever thinks they want to become president. And if they are not wishing to, if they're not willing to have that conversation with us, then we are not offering that support. So therefore, the conversation will shift, and whoever is willing to run for presidency will now start thinking, this is no longer a discussion about which region must I have their votes, in order to, which region must I have their support, and from where must I get my running mate in order to win an election. And it becomes a conversation about addressing the issues that affect, the society in general. But as it stands right now, of course, I'm seeing some alignments. I hear conversations about people saying that, Raila Odinga is likely to partner with Mutai Kagwe, and I saw another name, which there's a governor who, I think from your side, I saw some governor who was mentioned, Munya, yes, I saw the conversations
Munya is not a governor, he stopped being governor.
Oh, former governor, yes.
Is a CS.
I saw conversations about Munya being a possible partner. On this other end, I'm hearing that ANC is trying to quote Waiguru. So what I'd say is that for now it's a bit too early. And as we keep going, as the conversation matures, we will see a lot of changes taking place. We will see people who think that they're the ones who will shape 2022 being relegated to positions of listeners and viewers and followers, as regions that have been silent emerging and coming up as regions to be considered for running mate. So I don't know, let's wait and see. I think it's too early, but for me what I would want to see is a conversation that shifts from regional politics to a nationalistic discussion, where your interest is in how do I ensure that I actually gather the support of the entire country without just narrowing in and zeroing in on one particular region. Because what that does is that it puts you in a position where once you take over office, then your focus is mostly on how do I fulfill the desires of that particular region that gave ultimatums to me, as opposed to how do I ensure that the entire country, how do I ensure that I focus on the growth and development of the entire country.
Okay. All right. So
on that point of Mount Kenya, sababu mimi ni mtu wa Mount Kenya.
Nilikuwa nataka kukuuliza swali ni Mwiti. Hii entitlement mulitoa.
See entitlement.
Did you hear what Moses Kuria was saying?
It is not entitlement.
Like we have no wait. We have how many regions do you have in this country? We have 40 almost now we even have the Chinese. We have 45 tribes.
Yeah.
The Chinese are also part of this country.
Like 6.
Now the question is, now if a leader comes up and says, it's either giving us 40% of government or not. 40% for one region. And we have 8 regions like you're saying. We have 100% of government. So are we not preaching exclusivity? Well, trying to get exclusivity.
We will not allow a few leaders who are selfish driven with their own selfish agendas to try and portray our entire region like as if they are entitled. Those giving demands are not the true representation and the true voice of the people of Mount Kenya. The people of Mount Kenya, let me tell you, supporting William Ruto without conditions. All these other things you're hearing are being orchestrated by a few leaders who want to label us as, now as you're saying, as egocentric, entitled. And I'll tell you the reason. After Raila Odinga, William Ruto has emerged as the only leader who has a following other than people from his ethnic extraction. And that is sending a lot of political heat waves around the country. Why? Because it's very hard to call him a tribal leader. The other side, tribal leaders are having a coalition. Everyone representing their tribe. Apart from Raila Odinga now, who is now like the flag bearer, possibly. But now they're trying to put William Ruto into a box where he's also now a tribal. Now, the Mount Kenya question is the one now making William Ruto not be a Kalenjin leader. He's a national leader, and not just Mount Kenya. He has support even in Coast. He has support in Western. He has support in Lower and Upper Eastern. He has support in Northeastern. And now that's one, that angle, I want you to look at that angle, that we have in one political formation already having a candidate they've settled on. There's no debate. The other side, there's still some debate. The other side, this side where the candidate is already settled on, they have given that candidate the whole full support and trust in his ability to get a competent running mate without conditions. And they are saying, we are waiting for you to name. And the deputy president, the other side time, he said he will name the running mate when the other side settles on a candidate, because they have a lot of homework to do themselves. So him already is ahead. Mount Kenya is with William Ruto. Let me tell you. And don't be mistaken, by the way, to think that the people walking around saying now we want conditions, the people in CCK in Kiago, they've seen. They went there, they had to use the name of the person they're trying to give conditions to sell their party. Now, my point is this. William Ruto being not a tribal leader fashions him the best to get the presidency, where a Raila Odinga presidency does not seem tenable anymore because of dwindling support from the regions he's previously enjoyed support.
So deputy atatoa wapi?
Of course, deputy, hiyo ndio nimekuambia ipande, mimi sijui Raila anataka
sana. Ipande yenu, achana mambo ya Raila.
DP sisi kuna full confidence na he will do the political arithmetic. He will settle on the best person to complement him and his agenda. Because our issue is not so much about running mate, on personalities. Actually, we don't support William Ruto because he is William Ruto. We support William Ruto because he has an agenda for this country. So now that's the confusion. The other side, they focus so much on who will be this, who will be now. Actually, right now there is ripe discussion, and I am told there are even people trying to craft an amendment bill to add positions of prime minister and deputy prime ministers. They want a matatu presidency, because they need to accommodate so much players who are representing different tribal groupings. But now we're saying, if we can move our minds, especially as young people, from the tribal groupings, and let's not look at politics with the lens of tribalism. Let's look at it with the lens of issues. And when we look at issues, it will not matter so much who will be Ruto's running mate. What will matter is what will be the agenda of that team, and will drive this country forward. Actually, we can make a paradise out of Kenya. We have a beautiful country, but we need the right leaders who will, and that's why I said the problem with Kenya is not even about corruption. Corruption will always be there. Even in big economies, the Asian tigers also deal with their own corruption. But that should not stop a leader from delivering their mandate. Because if you have a clear vision, you will know where you need to lead your people. You have full control of machinery and state resources. There should be no reason why your people should feel like they are not part of the country in terms of the economy. Not feeling part of the country with your tribe, no. But wewe kama ni Mjaluo, wewe kuna umaskini wa Mjaluo na umaskini wa Meru. Hakuna. Sasa yote ni umaskini, and that's now where, if we can get the conversation there, then actually you will even challenge us to try and improve now also on bottom up and put more tools of trying to, so that we can have a sober debate. Because every time we try to talk about issues and an agenda to give conditions, actually people of Mount Kenya on the ground, mimi natafuta kiti ya MCA, mimi nakaa na watu kila siku, na mimi naweza
ngangana na MCA.
Hawasemi ati tutapea William Ruto kura ati akichagua Meru kama running mate ama Mkikuyu. No, they saying William yeye afanye yake, yeye afanye, tunamwamini, because that's now where he is reached politically. He's seen as a national leader.
Sawa, Sylvia.
Someone with a plan.
Sawa, Mwiti. Haya, ndakuja kwako Sylvia.
So what he's saying is that for one to be considered as a national leader, they need to have the support of Central Kenya.
Not Central Kenya.
That's what you're saying.
You need to have a following other than your ethnic extraction. Meaning other tribes other than your tribe.
You have to convince other
That's what
people.
I'm saying.
Your conversation
Right now,
around Mount
only
Kenya.
2 people have achieved that status in Kenya.
Sylvia.
Raila
I need
Odinga and
to
William
respond
Ruto.
to you.
Okay,
So
Sylvia.
that you can understand Mount Kenya
Okay.
politics better.
Thank you
Even
very
if
much.
Uhuru were to run against Ruto in 2022, I can tell you for free,
Thank you.
Ruto will beat Uhuru in Mount Kenya votes. I can tell you that.
Thank you, Mwiti.
Sawa,
Because
Sylvia.
he has
Sawa,
not
Mwiti.
delivered. We
Aye.
want someone who can deliver.
Sawa, Sylvia.
Let me just come
Sylvia.
in there. Thank you very much for elaborating on what UDA and Deputy President have done. One thing that is being driven around by the social media and the mainstream media is almost forcing all the Kenyans to believe that there's only 2 presidential candidates, Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto. You are forgetting that this is Kenya. It's a democratic country. We have very many other presidents on the in the battlefield. And one of the people that is actually causing shivers amongst the camps of Deputy President UDA and the camp of Raila Odinga is Musalia Mudavadi. And nobody is actually mentioning that because he's the fear factor. That should he now come in strong, as he's coming in strong right now, the stakes are that he's the winning candidate in the elections of 2022. And that is why everybody is trying to drive the narrative between President, Deputy President, and Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Please make the battlefield plain. Let us have all the names on the list and let the Kenyans decide for themselves. Don't choke them with what Mount Kenya is thinking, what Coast region is thinking, what Western region is thinking. The plates have shifted. From 2017, it was a whole new perspective. And the sitting members of parliament, senators, governors, they are going to get a shocker this 2022 because a lot of them are going home because the Kenyan is making an independent decision from their houses. They are no longer being swayed by fake news or being swayed by this one promised us this. They have seen the track record of every individual running for presidency. So let the Kenyans decide that. Don't force the narrative on them of 2 presidential candidates. We have right now an Oka Alliance that is coming up with a president. But we, as an ANC, we also know that Musalia Mudavadi is going all the way to the ballot. And he has announced it officially that he's going all the way. So why are you discounting that fact? No. Why are you discounting Musalia Mudavadi and giving us 2 names, continuously choking the rest of the Kenyans up? Please, we are many tribes, we are, different regions in this country. Everybody that has come up, even Mukhisa Kitua has come up as wanting to be president. Nobody's mentioning him. Wanjigi has come up. He wants to be president. Nobody's mentioning. You are choking us with 2 people. We are a democratic country. Let people also hear other names on the presidential
the reason we talk about those 2 people, they're the only people not waiting for an endorsement, yeah?
No, because you are talking about it for yourself, but I'm talking about it for Kenyans. And that is what Musalia Mudavadi is doing. He's talking for all the Kenyans. He has been in Mount Kenya. Nobody has sent him away and said, no, you are not welcome here because this is the region for Deputy President William Ruto.
No, of course, yeah.
Because he is welcome because they know that he's a prospective candidate. The factor of Raila Odinga, people saying that, he has a huge backing. Which huge backing? The former Prime Minister Raila Odinga had a huge backing in Western region, mainly because of the Luhya community. And the Luhya community spans all the way from Vihiga all the way to Trans Nzoia. That is huge. And if he loses that, he has very little in his basket. Even the backyard in the Kisii.
That's why I talked of his dwindling support. And
it's not even dwindled. It's not there anymore. We have to just forget
very
about
true.
it and stop promoting this factor that the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is going to make a very good presidential candidate. No, he's not. And that is the reason why he's also delaying in announcing whether he's running or not.
Because he's waiting for Uru's endorsement. He also he's been confused this time because he's joined the endorsement bandwagon, yeah? And that's why actually Ruto stands out because Kenyans can actually believe he's going in it to the end.
He stands out and so does Musalia Mudavadi stands out as well.
So as Musalia Mudavadi announced his candidacy.
Yes, he's
okay,
running.
fine. So
yes.
let's even RUTH AMBOGO decides to run. Let's have our own list.
And 2027 it will be Sylvia
I can see Sylvia amekasirika sana. Anasema inakuwa hadi. So hata Mwalimu Dida, he told me he's still around.
Dida is still there.
Mudavadi is a good leader, only that Raila cannot endorse him.
He doesn't need endorsement from Raila Odinga. He does not need endorsement from Raila Odinga. He's the one that came up with the NASA. If it weren't for Musalia Mudavadi, NAFTA would
So you're
never
not
have
together
existed.
with Raila Odinga?
No, we are not.
Because I thought, Oka is for
he's
looking
not.
for Raila's running
Wait,
mate.
wait,
The whole
no.
agenda of Oka
No,
is looking
wait.
for
No,
Raila's
no, no,
running
no,
mate.
It's an interview, Silo.
Don't
Okay.
drive propaganda.
Oka is about
Don't drive
the
propaganda.
presidential candidate
Drive
of Oka
facts.
is
But you are
Raila's
not in Oka
running
here.
mate.
You
You
are
are
not
not
in
in
Oka,
Oka, so
But
you
I
don't
have
know.
friends there.
You are
like,
not in
so
Oka.
yeah.
So do we have
We
friends?
are
would you know
privy.
what
We
Oka
privy.
is about?
My friends are also in UDA, but I'm not talking about UDA.
So it's 9:27. So
Hey, I was just watching. I was just
so nauliza
observing.
swali ya mwisho kabla tujaenda kwa mwisho.
Mount Kenya iko imara by the way.
History like Laikipia. What's going on in Laikipia? Kenyans are losing lives. The government doesn't seem to be doing much. Okay, at least I don't know. It's being seen to be, but when I heard Natembea saying, "Mnajua these guys wako na mabunduki yenye sisi polisi yetu hawana."
Yeah.
What's going on? What do you think is going on in Laikipia, Ruth?
It's very unfortunate. I think there's an aspect of tribe, of tribal differences in it, in the clashes that are ongoing in Laikipia. It is what happens a lot. It is what happens in cosmopolitan areas, where there is a population that believes this was our original piece of land, or this was our original dwelling area, makao yetu, and you have invaded makao yetu. You have taken over our source of livelihood, and I think the question of land is one very emotive issue, and still continues to be an emotive issue, especially in regions that have a lot of tribes settling in. So it's an insecurity problem as well, that I believe, in my opinion, government has not handled well, because the moment this came up, a quick response should have been set up to ensure that the chaos is de-escalated, and those responsible are quickly arrested, and order is restored. So it is very unfortunate what's going on there. And I mean, this is just but a few months to the elections, and a lot of times such tribal clashes usually start just a few months to the elections. So if not dealt with, the same becomes pattern in other areas where people from different tribes are dwelling in one place. And to be honest, I think government needs to move fast enough, because people are losing property, people are losing, livelihoods, people are being killed, families are disintegrating, life has come to a standstill, there's no learning taking place there. And when you hear certain government officials issuing directives and saying, "Oh, go back to your normal livelihood, go back to the normal way of life, go back to schools should resume operations," and yet the security issue has not been dealt with, the insecurity issue question has not been dealt with, you wonder where the sensitivity of government comes in. So I think they need to move with speed, but also we need to have, in such areas where there's a mix of tribes and people settling in from various places in one area, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission really needs to think of programs that they can put up in place to ensure that communities such as this have continuous dialogue going on, to try and resolve differences that might exist. The government needs to ensure that community policing is enhanced in such areas. Conversations and basically just dialogue and just having the community realize the importance and value of unity and staying together and brotherhood. Such conversations need to be pushed in such areas to avoid any future escalation of such cases in areas that have similar dynamics.
MWITI, very quickly, the issue is land. Over 50 years of independence, we've never fixed land issues. And this country, there are people who are settling everywhere. I mean, the people like Laikipia, pastoralists, there's a reason why they are there. There's a reason why RUTH is not in Mandera. There are people who settled there for their own reasons. And land, pre-independence land didn't have title deeds. I mean, we all knew where we needed to live. And we are here, there are Kenyans who are landless. We are not visitors. They are not visitors. They were born here, they've lived here, but they don't have land. They don't have a home to live in. They don't have land. Almost 50-something, almost 60 years down the line, we have a lot of reports that are getting dust in government office on land and how we can fix land issues. Now, this is just a symptom of the issues that people have on terms of land, the grievances on land issues and all that. But we are not fixing it. We are saying we are going to clobber the bandits, but it's not the bandits. It's the aggression on where are we going to graze our cattle. You're coming in, ranches are being taken up. People are fencing their ranches. These guys are living in semi-arid areas. They don't know where to take their cows anymore. We are just saying we're going to eat these guys, but we're going to grow. I think we are growing a bigger problem. Yes. We are building a time bomb. Why is it that we can never sit down as a country once and for once, look at Ndungu Land Report, look at TJRC reports, and address the issues of land in this country? What is stopping us from doing that?
Land is a very emotive issue in this country, and
you say it's emotive because we want to avoid it. Never tell you say, don't talk about it. It's very emotive. It's because people don't want to address the issues, and the people who normally call it emotive are those who have land.
Yeah, and every election cycle we have in politicians using land. Land has always been an issue, even in presidential debates. The land question, and it's never solved because, like in Laikipia. What I can just say is that let not government agencies be used in politics to even if people are genuine enough to solve the land question. There have been numerous recommendations on how that can be undertaken. So any other thing that is being done right now, I can say it's just a distraction, and we should be focused. We know the biggest landowners, even there in Laikipia. Yeah, there's been a list that has been going around even on social media. And what we can say is that time will tell who are the real players of all these gimmicks you've seen, yeah? Because they're trying, the kind of narrative they're trying to, it's a distraction. That's what I can say, yeah? It's trying to shield themselves from potential questions that will be popping up in the next 11 months. So that should be a sober debate, and that can be done by someone who because at the highest level, that president, yeah, we need someone who, with that kind of goodwill, someone who understands that there are people who are landless, the inequality question. That's why we want to make people let's have an equitable economy, yeah, in a nutshell. Yeah, because land is, I cannot pretend and sit here to pretend that we can discuss the land issue exhaustively. Because whichever political divide you want to look at, there are a lot of what we call inconsistencies
on issues of land.
Yes, and even hypocrisies, when you're trying to say someone who owns these and they actually don't own, because, in politics, you say when you see things, whatever you see happens has been planned, it doesn't just happen. So
there's no solution for land issues.
The previous week, you are told now there's someone who has Laikipia ADC land, 50,000 acres. He has even police guarding there, and now in a not so long time we're having clash. That's what I was saying. That will be addressed, and I have confidence in our leader to address that in not so long, and Kenyans will be the judge. And I hope this election cycle, people are going to make the right decisions. Let's not tunapeleka watu tunawasindikiza na tupati kitu. Yes, we need our issues discussed. All those land, jobs. We want to have an economic turnaround for this country. Yeah. And the Kenyans have a choice, and they have the voice. They have that vote can make change. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sylvia.
Yeah, I think
Are we fixing the problem in Laikipia?
No, we are not. Okay. Right now, what we are doing is we are giving it a cosmetic application. And by that, I mean that we are trying to solve the problem like we used to in the 90s when we used to have these clashes around Mount Elgon area. But you see, that was finally sorted, and we no longer have any clashes around Mount Elgon area. Okay. The Laikipia issue is a contentious issue because of the land, and that is a historical problem that we have a few people that are owning the biggest chunks of the land. And what the president needs actually to come out is to go back into the new constitution. What does it say about land? Because what is happening right now is that you have the few pastoralists, like you said, they are pastoralists, so they also belong to Kenya. They deserve to have a part of Kenya. And pastoralists do not fence off what they have. They move from place to place. And so where should they graze? If they graze here today and when they come back the next day, it's been fenced up. Where is their right? But also there's also the angle to it when Natembea said that these people have weapons that, you know, are more sophisticated than even the government of Kenya's weapons. Then it begs the question that where are the weapons coming from and who is actually behind? Because I don't think the pastoralists just went somewhere and spent money to buy guns, and I don't know which shop they bought it from within this country. So there's also some innuendo behind it. However, there can be a resolution to this, a sober resolution that will be a long-lasting resolution, which means that the same way he went to Coast and issued title deeds to people down there, they need to set off, they need to perhaps, I don't know, but perhaps reallocate the land of Laikipia, who rightly, like there's conservancies. Why should we have massive conservancies when people are looking to graze their cattle so they can have milk and have meat to sell as part of their, you know, income for them as members of this country? So they also have a right to the share of this country. And we also need to look at other countries. What do they do about land? There are countries where land belongs to everybody in the country, with the exception of the little where you have. And if you have a whole, you know, thousands of acres that are just being kept as conservancies, why are they being given that special opportunity? We need to speak about it candidly. It needs to be a debate. The parliament should actually be debating that right now, not debating about the weapons being used. But why do we have this historical injustice of the land in Laikipia? How do we resolve it? Which is the best way to come to a solution so that the Kenyans themselves too that are living there can graze their cattle without fear. And the Kenyans...
And can own property. I mean, every Kenyan has a right to own property.
They have a right
How
to
do you
own
explain
property.
our local is landless,
A
but somehow
foreigner.
a foreigner has thousands of acres?
Thousands of
Yeah.
acres.
I mean.
That needs to be addressed. We know now that, you know, we knew Delamere for the longest time that Delamere was not Kenyan, even though we used to pass there and see the beauty. But now Delamere is back in the hands of Kenyans. So we need to address it and we need to be candid about it.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a round of last remarks. I'll start with you, Ruth. Your tackle of the day.
My tackle of the day is, first of all, happy birthday to Governor Ray, the incoming Member of Parliament, Limuru. And I think for me, my parting shot is that it is about time that the entire country, you know, begins to sit down and think about, and specifically with reference to the various regions across the country. That it's about time the leadership of various regions, you know, need to sit down with their people and start articulating and having conversations about the issues that affect the people, and consolidating, you know, from their own backgrounds, what are some of the key issues that leaders should address in the coming 2022 general elections. And my reason for that is that it is only through this means that we will be able to start shifting our conversation from tribal politics, from ethnic politics, from agendaless discussions to discussions about issues that by the time you're coming to seek votes, for instance, in Northeastern, that you have no choice but to sit down and have a legit conversation about what are some of the key issues that affect these people and how do you intend to address them when you take over office. And this is to the various candidates for the presidential elections. And not just for the presidential elections only, but even in our small administrative, to the lowest of the administrative units. We as Kenyans need to now start going back to our lowest levels of administration units, to the ward level, sitting down and discussing that as a ward, what are some of the issues that affect us? What are some of our concerns? So that when these various, you know, MCAs come to approach us and are seeking votes, that they have to engage us on those particular issues. And if they cannot be able to articulate correctly and with the right solutions to the issues that we are facing as a ward, we are facing as a constituency, we are facing as a county, then they definitely do not deserve your votes as the voters. So I think that is the only way we will be able to revolutionize the manner in which we do our politics, to be able to shift around the conversation from Christian politics, from who is a better Christian, from who can recite the Bible from the beginning to the end, from baseless narratives and terminologies that have no content, to issue-based politics that is specific to the regions that these people will be seeking votes from.
Okay, all right. Mwiti,
Yeah.
what's your tackle of the day?
I tend also to agree with Ruth. Na naona tunaenda vizuri. Issue based politics, actually that should be my last word. We should be more careful this time. Let's not be distracted by to see changanyo na vipindi cinema sijui nini.
Cinema, siasa ni cinema.
Yes, we should, but also you should not lose sight of an antelope, of a dashing squirrel, and a lot of dashing squirrels will come. And we should always maintain our focus and know we obligated to have contribution to this country, and positive contribution, and however little it is. Unajua si pale mashinani tuna deal na watu daily na we say you should not underestimate your power, because you just need just that one vote to make a difference in people's lives and even in your own. So let's be focused. Let's look at issues, not tribes. Let's look at an agenda, not personalities. Let's not build our politics, because it would be very dangerous to build a politics around personalities, having a personality cult. And that's why I keep saying, even in UDA, even as we support William Ruto, we're always very clear. It is because of the agenda that he has for Kenya. And not, it's not about personalities, but the other side we have in a lot of issues. But I know, even them, because I know Ruth now has gotten the queue of issues, and she will transplant it now into their politics. With Ruth, I know their issues will keep on now popping up, so that we can have a ripe discussion. And Kenyans at the end of the day will benefit, because this is democracy. They will make their fair choice, and tutasonga mbele kama Kenya moja. Na natoka mniombe sana kura ya kule NTIMA West ground tunatayarisha, lakini najua ushindi ni wa Mungu. Na tuna nguvu, hatutaki kuchukua glory. Unajua sisi we always very careful. We don't like any glory. Tunapanga kazi, lakini tunajua yote ni ya Mungu.
Tunaenda boga bazamo squad Biblia sana, lakini tunakuombea
Bible quoting, fire spitting.
Unajua safari hii huwezi underestimate nguvu ya Mungu. Kweli lazima ujipange, lakini pia lazima uachie Mungu atende.
Of course, yes,
and that's
true,
why we
for
saying,
sure.
I'm doing my homework. Kule ground, I'm always there. Hata leo ni vile ni lazima ningepitia kwa Bitok. Na naomba sasa, unajua ground wakiwa watu wananisikia tuko hapa, wako na imani na agenda kweli.
Ombe sana, na unajua kuomba hiki kitu.
West National, unaona? Yes, hiyo ni jambo la mbele sana. Yes.
Haya, asante sana, tunaombea wote. Mimi kama bishop, kazi yenu ni kuleta mbegu, kazi yangu ni kuwakekelea mikono. Hata Ruth Ambogo, tafadhali ile kitu ilikuwa ulete, tafadhali leta.
Yes.
Mwiti, leteni hiyo kitu, tafadhali bishop azilale nje.
Hajapata party.
Sylvia.
Hiyo lazima.
Yes, my parting shot is
It was the tackle of the day.
Yeah, the tackle of the day, performance. I beseech Kenyans to assess the performance of the current leaders in government. Assess your leader critically. Check the promises they made before they got into government. Check 5 years later or 10 years later how their performance and what they've delivered. And if they haven't delivered for you, you as a Kenyan, it is your constitutional right to choose the right person that will lead you. We have to reflect our leadership skills to the private sector leadership skills. If you as an employee of any company, you do not perform or deliver results, you will be fired the next day. How come when people go to parliament or into government, they do not perform, but they get away with it, and they continue to go in 5 years later and 5 years later? We need to assess that, and we own the rights to get them out of office. So check your leaders, decide who has performed. If they are going back in, if they are not, throw them out. go for the right leaders. I am vying for Nairobi women representative. I am not coming on the scene to play a happy girl or to play, good mommy. I am coming to perform for the people of Nairobi.
You don't want to be a good mommy.
I can be a good mommy in my house, but I need to perform for the people. Fanya kazi yako vile uliandikwa, deliver for the services. Kama ni pesa, wacha watu wazione kwa ground, na tuko kwa ground tunafanya kazi. Kwa hivyo Kenyans, please
look them in the eye and tell them that story.
Yes, kwa hivyo Kenyans, please look out for the right leaders for you. We are here. Some of us have started the journey. Watch our walking steps and be with us, and God will do the rest.
Haya. Sawa. Next week nimeona mambo ya CBC imetoka. CBC already natulemea. Anasema stoki ya somo. Haya, sawa. Next week tutaangalia mambo ya CBC. CBC ama mnaweza haraka mbio. By the way.
Definitely.
Mbio. Unaweza haraka CBC. CBC is it working or not?
CBC, I was talking about it on Monday.
Yeah.
CBC is working, let's say 60%, and it's working mostly for public schools.
Okay.
Because the public schools that were already established have the facilities to execute CBC. The only contentious issues here is that the government did not do enough in terms of,
training the teachers.
The teachers are trained. The problem actually is that the parents did not know what CBC was all about.
Okay.
So the parents are very challenged on what to expect. And the teachers are not preparing well in hand. If the teacher prepares the syllabus through 2 months or through the whole term to know what is coming, they'll be able to tell parents in advance that you need these items for extra for the homework practices, because they say that the child suddenly comes home and they need paint. Where do I get paint at night at 9 p.m.? So that's a contentious issue. It means that the teacher also did not prepare adequately. The teachers that taught us 844 system, they also landed into a system that they didn't know, but they had to adjust. And so the CBC teachers, they have been teachers before. CBC has not changed on how to execute it. It just has more practical way of educating our children in school. It has a practical way of approach. That means that you have to identify the talent of the child as the child develops through your class. So, and then you have all this practical work that you need to prepare for as a teacher. So can the teachers just get back to their work and execute their work and stop complaining that they are not getting enough? The teachers have adequate resources to be able to execute this. CBC is a great idea. CBC will transform this country to create innovators, to bring back creative minds. Because right now what we have created is a copy-paste culture. We need to get away from a copy-paste culture and have innovators. We cannot be buying computers from abroad. We are a country that is actually celebrating that one of our guys has come up to make charging cables for telephones. When are we going to make the telephone if right now we are at the stage of making a charger cable?
To charge kwanza, alafu tutatengeneza simu.
No.
Bottom up. You have any comments on CBC? Do you have any comments on CBC?
My only concern with CBC is the relevance of some of the assignments, you know.
Hii kitu inaweza kuwa usiku. Unaamka usiku unasahau kama ulikuwa unasikia kutoka kwa nyumba.
The relevance of some of the assignments that basically how the curriculum, my issue with it is that the curriculum needs to be tailored to work. The curriculum needs to be tailored to specific regions, you know, in the sense that you can't expect, for example, you cannot give a child in Pipeline an assignment to come up with to gather clay soil or to bring to school a leaf, when this is a child who lives in an area where you will never see clay soil, you will never see leaves anywhere. They live on some, you know, very tall high-rise buildings that with no access to clay soil whatsoever, you know. So I think basically for me it's how relevant are these assignments, even as we are talking about them, you know, the system being able to build up the competency of the kids knowing what exactly they want to specialize in by the time they're finishing primary school education. How relevant are these assignments towards ensuring that these kids actually are able to identify what they can specialize in? And how is it tailor-made to ensure that by the time you're finishing school, you're ready for the job market? How is the job market ready to respond to the skills that these kids will have specialized in, you know, that now that I have specialized in arts, for example, now that I have specialized in music, for example, how has the job market been tailored to ensure that when I exit the education system, I can be able to find a space for myself. So for me, that's the only concern I have about with CBC, and also the preparedness of the teachers, you know. The fact that parents are feeling, you know, the burden. I will not even belabor the point that she has put across of parents coming back from work and being told that you need to download a picture or you know, give a catalog of pictures of sources of water, and it's in the middle of the night, you don't know where to begin from. So that preparedness, I think there needs to be some retraining of the teachers to understand how to work, you know, with parents, to understand about, you know, how to work on timelines, you know, for assignments, you know, for example, prepare parents in advance, give them a 1 month syllabus plan, a plan for, you know, for the entire period for the entire month, so that the parent is ready to know what to expect the next day or the next week.
Okay, sawa. Mwiti?
Yes. CBC is a good curriculum. Only that, you know, like every other change takes time for people to adapt and make it a lifestyle. And also for parents to also know that they have a role in the learning and development of their children, and they shouldn't, you know, abdicate such roles to teachers, because it should be both teachers and parents, to the learner's benefit, which is the whole concept of CBC. It is learner based, so that people can be able to identify their skills. You know, CBC is about knowing and recognizing that every learner is gifted differently with different set of capabilities and talents, and now making sure that at the end of it, that's why they say CBC is outcome based. At the end of the day, the learner will have not just knowledge but also skills, which are just about also soft skills like creativity, imagination, thinking, critical thinking, and that is now preparing us for the future, because the future is about skills and not just about overall exam performances, which is also good, but preoccupation should be on there. So CBC gives a chance for Kenyan children and learners to maximize their skills and talents God-given, so that we can drive our nation forward with such capacity going forward. But you know, to start, there's always hitches, because as she said,
so we give it room.
Parents not knowing what to expect. So I just think the government should invest more in the curriculum, so that also the people who are beginning it don't have a false start, because they should also have at least almost a full benefit, like just the ones who will come in when everything will be set in rolling well. So they should just maximize on capacity and preparedness. But CBC, I don't. It's a good. We should build our own model.
Yes, because ingine tunatumia ilikuwa wazungu. But I think if I only agree, mahali moja na agree na Magoa. Nasema you don't need mathematics to be a musician. Actually, mathematics tortured me. I don't know why I needed mathematics to make noise. When did I ever? As long as I can count money. That's enough. I don't need mathematics. That thing almost killed me.
Basic arithmetic.
That thing almost killed me. So I agree, Magoa.
You just need board maths.
You all don't need mathematics.
Yes, only board maths.
As long as you can only count money. Mmoja juice. Mulikunywa juice,
Tumeonja juice iko sawa.
Very good.
Iko chonjo.
Ina clear hata throat.
Sasa ile suggestion mimi ningetoa, unaona hao watu wa Maridadi Motors. Pia sasa next time
walete magari
hapo.
Ina drop.
Bonjonja magari.
Sasa to drop tunaenda tunaonja for 1 year ya campaigns.
Sasa Eriko umesikia?
Ongelesha hao watu wa Maridadi Motors.
Haya. Eriko umesikia amesema vile Pepta kwa naleta juice tunaonja. Haya leteni magari pia. Onje kwa mwaka. Juice ni moja tu. Okidvale. Juice ni moja tu, Okidvale by Pepta, Okidvale by natural, 100% natural. Juice ni moja. Moja tu. By Okidvale 100% natural. Moja na mambo ya sukari. Unasikia mmekaa maridadi kabisa. Haya, safi, asanteni sana. It's been a pleasure having you today on Wednesday, the Wednesday 15th of September 2021 Siasa Wednesday edition on the tackle. Thank you guys for coming in. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Mwiti, asante Ruth Ambogo, asante sana Sylvia. Looking forward to having you again. And looking forward to helping all of you guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is
And
the
I wish you the best in
conversation
your
I've
ambition.
had actually.
Uko
In
sure?
a long time ya siasa.
I
Yes.
see. Toeni sasa
Yes, a
sataka.
good show.
Ulimpatia
Yes, good.
nafasi ya kuongea bottom up. That is why.
Thank you guys. It's a pleasure having you. This is Attack on and it ends. Now, see you again tomorrow on Diaspora Edition. The diasporas get to have a conversation on how best this country can run. Until tomorrow, bye-bye and we love you. Signing out.
Asante.